Auschwitz. 10,000 of us, 11,000 of us packed Auschwitz. And it's like we were in there and marching out, alive, with survivors who were in Auschwitz and in Birkenau.
It really was the death march that they made the people in Auschwitz take to go to Birkenau to march to their deaths. It was very important for me to be able to say that I saw it, and I heard people that went through it.
I remember even years ago, younger people never heard of the Holocaust. It was amazing that from all corners of the earth, children came to see the place where this biggest tragedy, probably the whole human civilization, took place.
It's my life's duty to educate and to let the kids learn about it, because I know that I am the last of those that are still alive who can relate what happened.
Für mich als Nichtjuden ist es eigentlich eine ziemlich große Ehre, daran teilnehmen zu dürfen, und vor allem als Deutscher.
Você sair do Brasil, passar 8 dias, fazer o roteiro de passar pelos campos na Polônia, de passar por toda essa experiência triste e depois ir para Israel.
The essence of the March of the Living is education. 20 years we are marching, more than 100,000 kids. The idea was to bring people to Poland, visiting in Majdanek, in Auschwitz, in Birkenau, in Treblinka, and from here going to Israel. The rebirth of the Jewish people, to come to see a vibrant country, exactly the opposite of death.
All of a sudden they understand where they come from, who they are. These are not only sightseers, these were witnesses to history.
But what will happen in the future when all the survivors are gone? How will the youth handle the challenge?
The Los Angeles delegation of the 2008 March of the Living, who are marching into history to reverse the death marches. We are 158 people strong, with 8 incredible survivors. We are joining 10,000 Jewish people in Israel and in Poland. We are the last generation to hear the story firsthand.
Going March of the Living and the timing, end of senior year before you go off to college, it's finding out who you are, and especially my connection to Judaism, because I also think my belief in God really drifted away when we started learning more about the Holocaust. We're not religious. We eat Chinese food every Friday night. That's our Shabbat. I've never been to Poland. I've never seen any concentration camps before. I guess it's hard because you live in a world of, media, that things are always caught on camera, and, the internet and things like that you can see everything and you can find out everything. But because it happened so long ago, it's so disconnected from now. I can't even imagine when what happened to them and what those survivors saw.
The Vespa makes me feel young. I like to drive it around this neighborhood. That's pretty calm. I'm not going on the freeway with it. And on Sundays, sometimes I'm going to the shopping center and back. I enjoy the ride on a motorcycle. I used to ride on big ones in my younger years. Blue is my favorite color. And for California, it's the light color. I think it's the right choice. When you go in the morning to the shower and you see the number, you know, this is real. Yeah, well, when they were small, and, you know, we didn't want to involve the kids, nothing with dead cams and everything. So I told them it's my telephone number and I shouldn't forget it. So I marked it on my hand. I lost my youth. I was 13 years old. We had a very nice life as children in Berlin until Hitler came onto the picture and changed our life. Want to see what we have in the fridge? We have to have lunch pretty soon. When friends of mine were selected, they knew where they're going. They said to me, Ziggy, please, if you survive, you tell the story. Well, I try.
That was I love coffee, I love tea, I love boys and they love me. I learned it in Poland when I was 11. I always wanted to be a pianist since I was small, but the war broke out when I was 8 years old. I remember as if it happened right now. My sister, she said, now you go to school with Polish children. I begged her, I don't want to go, they still hate us. And one boy points to my face, you scabby Jew. And I hit him in the nose, and I hit him again with my left hand. I broke his nose. Zoe, down, sit. Sit. Good. The kids tell me never to say old, to say young. So I'm saying I'm 77 years young, and they laugh because everybody says I don't look like it.
Tunnel. Hold your breath. Yeah, ready? Ready? Hold your breath. Hold on. Blue. You have to say a vegetable. You have to say a color. Pickle. Blue pickle. We're the vowel kids. We're from the vowel.
We are. What are those things down there? Those are where? No, there. There's a whale. There's a whale. That whale is like right here.
There was one girl when I was in 7th grade and she was an 8th grader, and she would just randomly walk up to people in the hallway and just be like, are you Jewish? And people would be like, yeah, and then she'd be like, I hate Jews, they should all die, and then just walk away. My mom is full Japanese, and my father's Caucasian, so I'm half and half, and I'm Jewish.
You guys, it's 45 degrees in Poland right now.
What's the time difference in Poland? Is it the same?
It's 10, 9, something like that.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
So like going from Poland to Israel is not a big deal.
I had gone to public school for my whole life, but in the middle of 9th grade, I just decided I couldn't handle it anymore. Well, I would never say that I was Jewish. If people asked me, I would sometimes even say, well, you know, my mom's Christian. I celebrated Christmas growing up. It's funny because I have Jewish friends that go to Catholic schools, but I don't know any Catholics or Christians that go to a Jewish school. I'm kind of the token Asian at my school, and then, you know, every now and then they'll point out that I'm Jewish. But they're all Jewish too, so.
I have to buy more of these for our trip. Okay. I wanted to go on the march because my family's from Poland. I'll never be able to get out of my mind associating Poland with the Holocaust. So I'm blonde hair, blue, green eyes, they change colors. I just don't look Jewish. So I could have probably survived the Holocaust looking like this. I'm almost a perfect Aryan, so Han Hitler's face, there are Jews like me.
Every morning I do calisthenics. I jog for about 18 minutes. If I don't exercise, I don't feel as good as when I do exercise. Probably the first 55 years, I never talked to anybody about it, including my immediate family. My sister was taken to Auschwitz, I wasn't.
He was already in hiding when they took us.
My mother, father, and 4 siblings did not survive.
All of us went, and I'm the only one who came back.
But probably the last time that I have a chance to go to Poland to see where my family perished. And I hope I have a chance to say Kaddish in Auschwitz.
I admire him for being able to do that. I refuse to go.
Fui na casa do expedito, tava cheia de mosquito. Eu não sei se foi macumba, o meu sonho tava esquisito. Aurucaca da velhaca, taca pata faz trapaça. A danada é das braba, na arengada de mulata. Malunga, água de briga, maratu, Maria.
Graças a Deus, saí, país, maravilha, Brasil. Minha neta foi ano passado, Marcha da Vida. Ela falou, vó, o que a gente sofreu, a gente sentiu tudo no nosso corpo e alma.
A gente já está no fim da vida. Quem estava no campo de concentração e sobreviveu, porque isso foi uma graça de Deus. Eu estava nos 2 campos. Sofri muito, passei muito fome.
Não chora, já começa a chorar. E muito importante para jovens, para eles saberem tudo o que aconteceu, para nunca mais acontecer isso na vida.
Para nós é uma emoção muito grande ver, esse é o primeiro momento praticamente da viagem. Estamos todos nós, uma família enorme, somos 140 pessoas juntas.
Eu me lembro que nós fomos garotos na minha idade, 12 anos. Nós saímos numa marcha de morte, os alemães chamam isso de Totenmarsch. Quem não podia andar ficou atrás, foi assassinado.
Vocês não estão indo a um museu, por exemplo, de Madame Tussauds, que está fazendo vultos de cera. E como eu sou a última geração que pode contar, eu ouvi gritos, eu senti cheiro de cadáveres. Então, se nós conseguirmos passar a vocês tudo aquilo que aconteceu a nós, já vamos estar cumprindo a nossa missão.
Depois você tem lição hoje?
Tenho.
Tá, então você vai fazer lição. Não esquece que você não pode jogar videogame, você tá de castigo.
Ok, tá.
Eu tenho 15 anos, vou fazer 16 daqui a uns meses. Minha mãe meio que ficou contra eu ir pra viagem. Ela falou que é um sofrimento desnecessário, ficar revendo isso, passar nos campos. Meu pai me encorajou, me falou pra eu ir, porque ele no meu lugar não iria, ele não teria forças pra ir. Quanto você quer de macarrão? Muito pouco?
Médio.
Tá. A parte inteira da família da minha mãe é católica e a parte do meu pai é judia. Então, existem sinagogas que eu não sou aceita como judia. Eu não sabia que tinha uma parte da religião que não me aceitava como judia. Assim, tá bom?
Tá bom.
Então vem. Uma parte grande da família do meu avô morreu na guerra. Meu bisavô leu o livro do Hitler e ele ficou muito assustado. Ele falou, vai ter uma guerra aqui. Então ele trouxe a namorada dele, que é minha bisavó Esther, e eles vieram para o Brasil. Eles tentaram trazer a família junto, a família não quis vir, porque não acreditava que ia ter uma coisa tão grande quanto teve lá, que eles iam ser perseguidos. E então a gente tem quase certeza absoluta que eles morreram na guerra. Aqui em São Paulo tem sim antissemitismo, tem sim neonazistas, tem uma amiga que já foi perseguida por skinhead, não foi longe daqui. Mas é uma coisa que a gente tem que se preocupar, porque Na vida, tem pessoas que não vão gostar de você e vai ter pessoas que você não vai gostar.
Es ist doch ein Wunder, dass ich überhaupt am Leben bin noch. Denn meine Generation sind fast alle weg. 1933, als Hitler an die Macht kam, da war es nur noch für die Juden furchtbar schlecht zu leben. Wir mussten Zwangsarbeit machen, wir mussten Stern tragen. Überall, wo man rumkam, gab es Leute, die haben einen gestoßen. Es wurde immer schlimmer in Deutschland. Kristallnah. In ganz Deutschland hat man 265 Synagogen verbrannt oder vernichtet. Wir lebten ja nur noch in Angst. Ja, mein Bedürfnis ist, der Jugend mitzuteilen, wie es einmal in Deutschland war. Ja, ich wollte eigentlich schon aufhören, jetzt nach 20 Jahren. Da kamen mir so die Tränen, da habe ich gesagt, nein, du musst noch weitermachen. Ja.
Also ich finde es sehr aufregend zu wissen, dass sehr viele verschiedene Nationen an diesem Marsch teilnehmen. Aber ich finde es relativ traurig, dass nur eine deutsche Gruppe daran teilnimmt. Unsere Schule ist eine jüdische Schule und die einzige jüdische Schule in Deutschland.
Wenn man hier in Berlin lebt, sind viele Plätze, an denen man erinnert wird, was war. Es ist immer präsent sozusagen, als Jude in Deutschland zu leben. Man sieht Deutschland anders und wird auch anders wahrgenommen von Deutschen selber.
Wir wurden in der S-Bahn angemeckert und haben gesagt, ja, Hitler soll mal zurückkommen, bitte. Wir wollen gern, dass die Juden wieder vergast werden.
Mich ärgert es eigentlich eher, wenn ich sehe, dass heute Jugendliche wieder in rassistische oder faschistische Schienen geraten und wieder genauso handeln wie eigentlich die Menschen vor 60, 70 Jahren.
Ja, oder auch man hat es öfter in den Medien, dass halt Nazis jüdische Objekte besprayt haben mit Graffitis, Hakenkreuze. Der jüdische Kindergarten in Berlin oder eine Synagoge wurden in letzter Zeit mehrmals besprüht.
So, dann packt mal bitte dieses Zeug weg. Wir machen jetzt Geschichte. Okay, also, wir haben gesprochen über Konzentrationslager. Was ist das Wichtige, was man über Vernichtungslager wissen muss?
Die waren alle im Osten, die Vernichtungslager.
Richtig, die waren alle im Osten, hinter der ehemals deutsch-polnischen Grenze. Auschwitz, was wir besuchen werden, hat 2 Lager.
Für mich als Nicht-Juden, meine Vorfahren, wie auch immer, waren ein Teil von diesem Nazi-Deutschland. Ich weiß, dass es Konzentrationslager gab, also sehr viele. Und was ich nicht genau weiß, ist, ob es wirklich niemand gewusst hat. Wussten die Menschen es wirklich nicht, dass es Konzentrationslager und so gibt? Die Frage würde ich gerne wissen, aber ich glaube sowieso, dass es nie wirklich beantwortet werden kann.
Há exatamente 63 anos, se suicidava no seu bunker em Berlim Adolf Hitler. Este homem queria apagar da memória da terra a presença judaica. Nós não deixaremos acontecer com nenhum povo com nenhum ser humano.
We arrived right now in Krakow. The reason that the Nazis set up the concentration camps here in Poland was because this is where 3 million Jews lived.
Mas para você sentir como é estar num país que você se sente diferente, que você se sente estranho por lá, você vê que você não é bem aceito lá.
A gente vai falar um pouco do que era a vida no gueto, também para crianças. A gente está falando de alguns anos atrás na vida de vocês, morando aqui, tendo que conviver com 184 calorias, um lugar de 450 mil pessoas, 100 mil crianças morando aqui, 100 mil morreram de fome, de doenças. Havia ao redor de 140 pessoas apinhadas no vagão. Tiveram que entrar neles, passar sede, frio, passar fome. As crianças foram as primeiras a subir nos vagões e ir para o campo de extermínio.
Poland, I don't know. I thought it was a beautiful country. It was just all green, all farms, little cottages on hills. It was really pretty. It's still beautiful there, which is what you don't want. You don't want it to be beautiful in Auschwitz. The train tracks, that's where everyone came in from. Everyone was just brought in through a cattle car on those train tracks.
My grandmother was on a train to Auschwitz with her family, and the partisans blew up the tracks.
I was 10 when I got there. I turned 11 in Auschwitz. All the years after the war, I've always been told, what do you know? You were a kid, you were a child. Yeah. That's it. I say that silence is not an option. No. It's not an option.
It's huge. That is so scary. Like ours, I want to be able to come back to this place.
Older now. It's now the Hilton Hotel. Everything is beautifully tiled, and it's very upsetting.
I can't make up my mind. What do I want? Do I want it to be a museum, or I want it to be deserted? I think I want anything that helps people to understand. I think because I was a teenager, I never gave up hope that I will survive. When the Germans came in, I was 15. We were put into the ghettos and had to wear the yellow star. I never heard of the place, Auschwitz, even though I was an A student. What's interesting for a 15-year-old is the confusion. When we arrived to Auschwitz, we had no idea what was happening there. And of course, that was the tricks that the Nazis played. It's so easy to forget, like we forget many other things, and that there is a real danger about that. In the camps, there was a ditch next to the fence, and that was for that purpose, that when you electrocuted yourself, then you fell in there, and once a day they came to pick up the dead bodies.
for my sister. She was taken in and she was here 2 weeks. And then she was experimented on and she was in block 19, in 17, 18, 19.
Essa é melhor.
E aqui, a nossa obrigação é vir entender por que a gente veio para a Polônia. Por que Auschwitz e Birkenau são partes tão importantes dentro da identidade judaica.
Não é só extermínio físico, é o extermínio da alma, é o extermínio do espírito, é o extermínio de tudo que o ser humano possa acreditar. E aí eu quero que vocês vão pensando, gente, o valor que tem para vocês a liberdade, né? Aqui se perdia tudo isso.
E se fosse 60 anos depois, ia ser comigo. Eu ia estar no meio de tudo isso. E eu fico pensando o que as pessoas não passaram lá. O que as crianças não passaram lá.
Auschwitz was just like, this is so pretty. Like, this could be a college campus, and just like, that's so wrong. And just I was walking through thinking, like, what would this look like? And the sad thing is, like, I think in my imagination, and it's in black and white. Like, I can't imagine this being in color. Like, this actually happened. They put the number first and the name second. 1.6 million died in Auschwitz. What did it look like? What was going on here? Where did people live? Where was everything? And I guess that's kind of hard, but you definitely had to use your imagination. I guess because you're Jewish, you like pay attention towards the Jewish side of the Holocaust. But when they show like the prisoners had to wear like little badges, if you're black, gay, gypsy, whatever, you're not Aryan, you could have died. Oh my God. That woman's 33 years old. I think that is the worst thing that could ever happen. You could have blonde hair and blue eyes and say, what if I spoke up and I could have been killed? It's not just a Jewish thing.
The Holocaust has always been something that I couldn't really comprehend. That was shocking, just people my age. They had great futures ahead of them, and they were just murdered brutally, and it's terrifying to think that people could be so heartless to do that. Well, the photo was right after the liberation, and one of those kids is actually Paula, and that was where everything kind of was made real to me.
That's me, yes. This is Paula, when she was liberated.
I was born in a small town which is just a few hours away from here, and it was called Auschwitz. I was one of 6 children, the youngest. They kept us in those wagons for 2 days. The men had to go to the left and the women to the right. I don't remember whether I said goodbye to my father. I never saw him again. And I remember my mother standing behind me and saying, "Don't forget to tell him you are 14. It seemed to have been the magic number for workers.
My memory, of course, it's faded after 62 years, 63 years. I don't remember seeing the sun. All I remember seeing is particles falling from the sky. What I saw, not only because I was a child, especially because I was a child. It took many years to be able to talk about it. Going back to a place like that, for me it was like I didn't dream it up.
Aqui, vocês conheceram o famoso Dr. Mengele? Eles faziam experiências. Eles pegavam 2 gêmeos e abriam os 2 gêmeos para ver se eles estavam iguais por dentro. Eles tentavam inserir mais um braço na pessoa, transplante de olhos depois para ver o que acontecia. Tudo em nome do bem da humanidade.
Eles guardavam tudo que você pode imaginar. Eles tiravam dentes, tudo eles usavam para alguma coisa.
Aqui atrás tem os sacos de cabelos que eles conseguiam mandar para exportar. Ali os tapetes. E tudo do judeu vai servir para alimentar a indústria nazista.
Oh my God.
No quarto dos cabelos foi uma emoção que eu nunca tinha sentido antes. Até aquele momento eu nunca tinha visto nada igual. Pra mim, o Holocausto tinha acontecido, mas nunca tinha visto alguma coisa tão real. Eu entrei, eu olhei aquela sala gigante. Uma sala quase do tamanho de casa, de puro cabelo. Uma coisa que, tipo, cara, tá lá, não tem como falar que não.
Você vê uma montanha de cabelos humanos. Foi ver as coisas das crianças. Ver uma boneca quebrada, ver um sapato de criança, porque eu tenho um irmão pequeno. E se eu visse o meu irmão morrer na minha frente, o que eu ia fazer?
Galera do Renascença, vamos sair um pouco daqui, vamos pegar um ar lá embaixo. Bora.
Uma coisa totalmente inacreditável. Eu fiquei em estado de choque por várias horas. Foi um choro de verdade, não foi um choro que você perde a namorada, um choro de perder uma viagem, acabar a viagem. Foi um choro como nunca tinha chorado antes. Não sabia o que estava acontecendo comigo.
Foram 1,5 milhão de crianças. Mais até. Que covardia que leva você a matar um ser que é menor que você, que é inocente, que é puro, que é ingênuo, que não sabe nada da vida.
The gas chamber, you could see the scratch marks on the wall. You could see where people were scratching for their lives, trying to find a way out. And they walked in thinking they were getting a shower. And knowing that this was the end of so many people's lives, that I'm standing on the same ground of people that could have been my family members.
I don't want to walk in the crematorium. I don't want to walk through the showers. But, you realize that, how many people had the opportunity to walk in there and walk out alive.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. בעל מה דברה קירותיה וימליך מלכותיה בחיי חון ובמכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל והגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. שמי רבה מבורך בעולם.
How old were you?
60.
Yeah. You hear those survivors talk. They talk about their families and, what happened to them and what they saw. You hear Paula's story or Helena's story. That's just one person's story. And you go, there's 6 million other stories like this. I think it makes it so much more real.
To jest inny świat. Ale ludzie są ludzie. Tam świecie. Nam
drink when they're 18 and they can drive when they're 18. Sucks.
Do you know any Polish pop musicians? No. You know, you think that, like, these people's grandparents, where were they during the war? What do they know? Like, do they know that Auschwitz is, 3 miles down the road? Hold on.
The history of that country is terrifying to me. What happened there? I don't think it's their fault. I don't know whose fault it is. It's a terrifying place as a Jew to go back to. What you have to relive while you're there.
Birkenau, nós entramos lá com um sentimento ruim, com um sentimento de tristeza, com um sentimento de raiva, das piores coisas que a gente sentiu em Auschwitz.
I was here almost 2 years. Each barrack had 1,000 people, 900 to 1,000 people in those barracks, yeah? And they counted. Everybody who came out was counted, and we almost standing half a night outside. When I arrived in the camp and they opened the train, it looked to me like a circus. All those people with stripes. I mean, you come from a civilization into something dark. We were about 1,200 people from this train, and we were chosen 13 people. The rest was taken away. We went in through the barber, through the shower, and then the number. Of course, we asking where are the rest of the people. So through the window, they showed us, you see the fire, those big chimneys? This is where they're coming out.
It doesn't feel real.
It's creepy. So creepy.
One day we hear that somebody from somewhere managed to smuggle apples into the ghetto. My dad, he went to get the apple and he never came back. There were about 10 of us across on this wood with one blanket. It was winter time and we were standing barefoot for hours on ice. And somebody comes over every day and says one to the right and one to the left.
Did people talk, or was everyone just like separate?
But you know, there weren't many subjects that we were discussing. The only thing that was important is get food in your stomach and survive till next day. Holocaust means in Hebrew burnt offering, because people were actually burned. And as long as the survivors are here, and that's not going to be for very long, there will be nobody to ask questions. So it is very important that this is a march to learn a lot about themselves.
No meio do maior campo de extermínio. Aqui eram casas boas, não judeus, viviam aqui. Por quê? Quando vinha a Cruz Vermelha, o nazismo não quer dizer para o mundo que eles estão exterminando, que eles fizeram uma indústria da morte. A farsa nazista para esconder o que tem aqui no final, a aniquilação dos judeus. Esse é o objetivo nazi.
I will just tell you the story of the swimming pool because we are standing here. One day when we were taken to the baths,
and it was hot in the middle of the day. And I see this swimming pool, and it's a mirage. And I was 16 years old, and I didn't think. I just got out of line, dove in, swam across the pool, came out on the other side. My mother had a heart attack, and everybody thought I would be killed on the spot. And I wasn't. I wasn't killed, and my mother, of course, told me that I was foolish. But every time we talk, a little bit is lifted off. So, I wanted to celebrate my birthday with you.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
You have many more years.
Ja, das Schlimmste, was jemals auf Erden passiert ist, also mit das Schlimmste, was auch dem jüdischen Volk oder anderen Gruppen jemals angetan wurde. Also man kann es im Geschichtsunterricht nicht nachvollziehen. Man kommt dorthin und hat einfach nur noch Gefühle, nicht mehr wirklich Fakten, sondern nur noch Gefühle. Das ist einfach Geschichte wie zum Anfassen.
Und zum Gedenken dieser ganzen Kinder möchten wir zusammen Kaddish sagen. Itgadal v'itgadash shmei Rabba. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובמיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמיה.
Die meisten Leute, also auch im Ausland vor allem, sagen einem dann immer, dass man nicht schuldig ist, weil es ist mehrere Generationen entfernt und steht immer im Raum, ob man schuld ist oder nicht. Man kann es nicht wirklich beantworten.
Aqueles que negam, por exemplo, o Holocausto, a gente não tem como negar que os alemães eram tão meticulosos que eles marcavam o nome de cada pessoa que entrava no trem. E aqui tem essa lista que eles colocaram nessa parede. Vocês vão ter a oportunidade também de olhar, procurar um nome conhecido.
Isso é onde mandar o nome solteiro da minha avó. Morreu todo mundo.
Vou procurar Schindler e Zilberman.
Vai.
Não tem.
Como é que chama a tua família?
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb?
Você vê a condição que eles viviam, a condição que eles morriam também. Alguém que tem algum laço com você. A última coisa que você quer é saber que essa pessoa teve que passar por algo assim. Chaim Gottlieb. E
tem outro, tem Rir Gottlieb também.
Tinha Davi Gottlieb.
Davi Gottlieb aqui.
Daí chega um pouquinho mais a luz. Achei o meu trisavô. Mas quando você chega lá e você vê o nome do seu parente riscado, ou seja, tá provado que ele morreu nesse holocausto, te derruba. Então, mexeu muito comigo. Eu não achei que fosse tanta gente, tanto... Você fazer essa jornada como se você estivesse lá. Para você sentir na pele 1/100º do que eles sentiram na época.
Não dá pra imaginar o que elas sofreram.
Nem metade.
Isso é muito mais.
My favorite band, Kiss, and then Pantera, Lamb of God, and Opeth. On the bus rides back from the camps, the music definitely helps me relax and kind of think about what I saw.
We're going to Treblinka, right?
Yeah.
Are any of the survivors from there?
No, Treblinka was just F camp.
Oh.
Yeah. Celebrity man.
One lady, she was an 18-year-old Polish Catholic who hid 12 Jews in the basement of a Nazi officer's house for about 2 years. She was amazing. She wasn't Jewish, she was Catholic.
Yeah.
She didn't know any...
Not everyone was forced. You weren't forced to be a Nazi youth. Like, the current Pope was a Nazi youth. When I found this out, I flipped.
What was your faith like?
I thought I lost a God, but after talking to him, I realized that I really didn't completely. I was always hoping to find the rest of my family. That's the only thing that kept me alive.
Oh, yes, that's OAS.
Any more questions?
I will.
You will? Okay. Wow, it's pretty here.
Where do you see it?
Yes, right here. Oh, it says between July 1942.
Oh, I see.
So it was right at the beginning.
I was only 9. I had braids and blue eyes. He looked in my face. He thought I'm Polish. So the Nazis saved me on the 19th of August. And that's where my parents went. They were burned and the ashes were thrown into the forest.
Oh my God.
That's why they grow so beautiful. Treblinka is where my 2 sisters were taken. It's just unreal to bring almost 1 million people to a beautiful place like that. I never went there, and that's where I wanted to go desperately. It was like finishing something. I can finally say goodbye to my sisters. Would it like find each stone has
Ostrowiec.
Ostrowiec.
What was it called again?
OSTR.
Ostrowiec.
It starts with the O. It starts with the O.
Is that it straight ahead?
No, it's OSTRVIWIEC. Ostrowiec.
All right, Paul, I'll find it.
Okay. And they were 18 years old and 16, prime of their life. have everything to live for. I was not supposed to survive. They were strong and young, and here I am. They denied me my family, and they denied them their life.
What do you wish for them? For the Nazis? For those that did this to your sisters?
I don't know if...
I wish they could feel the pain that you're feeling right now.
Eu acho que já cansou um pouco da Polônia. Quero ir pra Israel logo. Campo, museu, campo, tristeza. Mas eu tô meio pesado aqui.
I was walking and I was like, my feet hurt, and then I was like, wait, I'm wearing shoes. Like, I'm lucky. Why am I complaining that my feet hurt?
Yeah, when we came back on the bus, I remember saying like, oh, I'm starving. And I was like, no, I'm just kind of hungry. Like, I can deal with this. I'm not starving. Like, come on, you have to realize that.
It puts it all into perspective.
Perspective.
That's
We
what
knew
I
that.
In Majdanek, my uncle, his wife, and 3 children, they were all shot to death. The feeling was awful, and just seeing monuments, and it's like going to a cemetery without markers. But you do know that your family perished there, and all I can identify as ashes.
There's like a little kid shoe.
It's like that. Like we were talking about how there's like...
It's just a room like 100 feet down, just full of shoes from the floor to the ceiling. And it's the most little mundane thing, like, oh yeah, people wear shoes. But when you see shoes of just thousands of people that died, it's one of those things that you can't ignore it.
Whoa, there's a deer. Oh my God, there's a deer that just ran through.
Aqui os corpos eram dissecados, extraíam dentes de ouro.
A gente viu a mesa que eles dissecavam as pessoas, às vezes atrás de uma corrente de ouro que a pessoa pudesse ter engolido. Quer dizer, eles caçavam tudo, qualquer coisa.
E agora a gente vai ver por onde os judeus tinham seus corpos incinerados, cremados. Vamos ali. Lembre-se dos rios de sangue que foi derramado como água, e santifique filhos e filhas que nunca tiveram o privilégio de serem enterrados como judeus. E Ele perdoará a terra de seu povo. Amém.
Amém.
He wrote us letters that they are having here soccer club playing, and orchestras playing, and the work isn't as hard as they thought there would be. It's all phony. They made him write it. And I just found out now when he perished, because I see the date there. And it's unbelievable, the innocent people just driven into their death. And the eternal question always will be, why? I don't think anybody has an answer.
Anima, amin, anima, amin, anima, amin. Evuna shalema, Eviat HaMashiach, Eviat HaMashiach, anima, amin.
O que mais me chocou em Maidan foi ver a pilha de cinzas humanas. Eu fiquei extremamente chocada, porque são pessoas. Você vê até que ponto o ser humano pode chegar. Você vê até onde o poder leva uma pessoa, até onde a desumanização leva uma pessoa, até onde você pode chegar, no pior sentido.
Porque agora eu acho que tá todo mundo passando por metamorfose, está todo mundo mudando como judeu no mundo, como pessoa no mundo.
Cada um de vocês são ainda capazes de construir um mundo muito mais bonito, muito mais justo. O que esta montanha aqui está dizendo para nós é: continuem sonhando, continuem amando, continuem tendo amigos, saiam com o coração tranquilo, saiam com os sonhos de vocês renovados. E a melhor forma de limpar para a face da terra este lugar.
Let us now unite our hearts and join our hands together. At the sound of the shofar, we will begin our march.
Que nós saímos de Auschwitz e fomos para Birkenau. Foi demais ver tanta gente unida por uma causa. Pela vida, para que nunca mais aconteça.
Torah teaches us not to hate, but to remember, because there are too many that say it never happened. And I tell them that faith and hope and strength are the three major things that made me survive.
This was called the March of the Living.
in contrast to the death march, and that we need to celebrate our lives. And that doesn't take away from our sorrow and our loss, as long as we are able to experience both.
In Jerusalem was completely different. It was all celebration as opposed to memorializing things. This is us after the Holocaust. We're surviving. Now we're in Israel, surrounded by millions of Jewish people celebrating Israel's birthday. So it really was a great contrast to the trip.
Look what these people created. Look how they rose out of the ashes. This is what happened. And they built Israel and they created a country.
Foi demais fazer essa marcha em Jerusalém. A gente chegar no muro e ver o outro lado da história. Eu fiquei lá encostada, pensando no que eu pensei, no que eu fiz, no que eu disse na Polônia. Eu fiz vários pedidos. Pensei em muitas pessoas e eu fiz uma pequena reza também. É uma coisa que me deixa triste, saber que tem guerra ao redor do mundo. Mas eu acho que o conflito podia ser tremendamente evitado se todo mundo se preocupasse mais em viver do que em matar. Na minha memória, eu acho que todas as lembranças dessa viagem vão ficar. Eu acho que agora eu volto para o Brasil e eu tenho orgulho de falar, não, eu sou judia.
Nossa!
Ai, que beleza!
Eu tenho agora, acho que, novas prioridades na minha vida. Depois de você ver o que os seus antepassados passaram, que não fez muito tempo, isso muda muito a sua relação com a religião, a sua relação com o seu povo. Eu me senti muito diferente como judia, como pessoa, como ser humano, como cidadã.
E eu carrego essa herança.
Isso aqui é demais.
Você aprende a dar outra forma de querer a vida. Tem coisa que você achava que precisava, que fazia diferença pra você na vida, mas você vê, não fazia diferença nenhuma, não mudava nada. Era só coisa superficial.
Tudo bem. Tá bom.
Uma marcha bem dura.
You know, I'd seen the result of some of the worst anger and hatred in the history of the world. Some of my friends in school asked me why I would put myself in a situation where I would have to face those things, but I think once you face it, it's really that's when you become, you know, someone who was a little more able to live in the world and had a greater understanding of life.
Previously, I wanted to hide my past not only from other people, but from myself. After going to Auschwitz, all the stories came back. And I think about it probably every day now, where I did not think about it before and didn't talk about it before. now, wherever I go and anybody talks to me about it, I open up.
You know, people ask you how the trip was. Nothing puts it into words. Nothing's like being there and, you know, walking through the concentration camps or being in Israel and being with the survivors. Like, my kids aren't gonna get to go there and, like, listen to the survivors talk.
Die Bevölkerung hat früher nichts gemacht und ich finde, sie weiß jetzt und sie wollen darüber nicht mehr reden, sie wollen es einfach vergessen. Ich hoffe, dass ich, wenn es wieder so kommen sollte, Widerstand leisten werde, einfach durch meine Erfahrung. Obwohl ich natürlich nicht hoffe, dass sich die Geschichte wiederholt.
The young people from today, they should appreciate what they have: the home, food on the table, school. I can only say, although Avda Tikvatenu, what means our hope is not yet lost.
It's their job now to carry it on. And I often feel like maybe I should stop talking about the Holocaust and pay more attention to Darfur or some other atrocities that are happening now. But I think our story will help people to understand what can happen. I think that with this generation, there is more hope, which make them become aware of the suffering of other people.
I voice my opinion when it comes to Darfur or any injustice that I hear about or know about for a fact. I voice it. I'll send an email to the White House, and sure, they don't read all of it, but the more numbers they get, that means people care.
How's Israel? I now know more Hebrew than you. Probably.
I think I need to go back to Israel. I think it's a good place for me to go right now. And so I'm going to be a student at Hebrew University. When people mention something that's false or just really ignorant, I have the confidence to actually say, I went to a concentration camp and I stood in a gas chamber. Like, don't tell me whatever you're telling me because I know it's not true, because I was there.
My family, I wrote a letter to them as if they were alive. How I imagine they suffered, you know, the last breath they took in the gas chambers of Auschwitz. I wrote in the letter that I'm very sorry that I could not save him, and I left it there. And I hope they answer.
So many times I wonder, why am I alive? And so many died. My parents, even though they are dead 67 and a half years, in my mind, they are still alive, and in my heart, my whole family. And I see them in my dreams very often. So they are really alive for me.
Mrs. Dorothy Greenstein.
It was kind of just a little quick mention one day. The survivors never got to graduate. You know, they should graduate with us. For the most part, most of them didn't get to graduate high school, you know, because they were 11, 12 when it happened.
Hopefully, there won't be any more Holocausts, even though it's happening right now in other parts of the world. Hope. I'm hoping for the new generations to change that.